I'm in my zone. I feel like I'm alone. I feel like I'm unknown to the world that's full of clones. My originality's focused on principalities broken. I'm lonely, my heart and soul to the game that's scared to pay it back. And failure is a motherfucker. The strength to go on and believing in another sucker who don't see the vision in you. So you gotta work harder times two. Gotta make it do what it do with the limited sources you have. Your dream is still a find motivation in you and inspire the world to do what you can. If you love it, then fuck it, get through it. Yeah. Mumble mentality activated. I waited for so long. Get burdens I've outweighed. When you see me in my zone.
Man, it's everybody's favorite day of the week. It must be Wednesday. Some people call it hump day. We just call it Gentleman's Talk Wednesday around here. So, fellas, how are we doing today?
Man, I'm good. Y'all already know what it is. It's the From the Sideline resident DJ, a.k.a. DJ Micah B.
Man, it's your boy Outlaw. And like my brother above, I too am an exhausted father. And the summer just started. I'm already sick of this shit. But like my tagline says, the Hoochie Daddies, we are outside today. We're going to be outside all summer, actually.
Your boy Moolich, host of Player versus Team on tomorrow, 7:15 Western time. Pronouns are I'm him. Don't forget.
Okay, promo drop.
You hear?
Listen, I'm just happy to be here, talk about some good stuff today. Excited to be here and talk about Beyonce, talk about some other good stuff, and just to be with the fellas. So, yes.
And of course, I am the exhausted father, also known as Mr. GQ. And before we get started, I'm going to put my little fancy little disclaimer going on up here. So make sure everybody understands that the following show is not intended for children under the age of 16. There will be adult language and adult content in this show. So viewer discretion is advised. So if your kids is watching, that disclaimer was there. That's on you. All right. If you fucked up, that's on you. So with that being said, if you saw the thumbnail today, you know that today we are going to have a conversation about Beyonce. So not a debate, not an argument. No, this is an actual discussion. Why? Because that means that we actually have facts with some research and all this other stuff. So it's actually a objective conversation. And how do you have an objective conversation? You bring in people who know what they're talking about. Now, people who speak with emotions and get all outlandish and get ridiculous, like we don't have an actual conversation of sorts. So, of course, you see Mr. Lundo over here on our side over here. If you've been following Gentleman's Talk for a very long time, you know this is one of the first interviews that we ever did back in our days when we had the Zoom interviews, when we were still growing as a podcast, and it still for a while was one of our highest rated interviews. It was extremely fun. We had a good old time. Good laughs, good connections all around. And now on this beautiful full circle moment, we got this round table of fine gentlemen over here to include the Hoochie Daddies for those who go with that. And of course, you know, those who represent their pronouns accordingly. So we are here. So London, what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to put you on this screen. And as we like to say, I'm going to let you talk your shit. And then we're going to get this show rolling.
All right, so let's talk our shit. So I'm excited to be here again today to talk to you guys about Beyonce, the art of Beyonce, the artistry, the person, and also her contribution to popular culture as well as Black music. Again, it's not necessarily a debate, but it's a stating of facts and having an educated conversation around Beyonce, the person, as well as Beyonce, the brand. For me, she tops all platforms. She tops all artistry in terms of her development, her ability to pivot, and her contribution to pop culture, not just in the Black mainframe, but also in general pop culture in general. So we're going to talk about awards. We're going to talk about all the things that make Beyonce Beyonce. Me and Michael always tend to go back and forth about it. But again, we're speaking facts. We're going to talk real. I'm going to answer some questions. We're going to learn some things, hopefully. We're going to talk about what makes Beyonce the top artist. And again, not just opinion, but also backing it with facts. So super excited to be here, talk to y'all about all things Queen Bee, and get to know a little bit more about her. That's my little spotlight. Let's talk.
Boom.
That's exactly what I expected him to do when I said he was going to get solo time. You see? That's exactly what I expected.
No, it was great.
That was beautiful. I'm not going to lie to you.
Kudos, bro. Kudos.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So let's get this conversation started with question number one. And since he kind of alluded to it, it actually kind of ties into it very well. So the very first question is Beyonce is she a top 5 female pop artist of all time?
Is she in that top 5 lineup? Is that the question to be correct?
Correct. Yes. Is she a top 5 female pop artist? We kept it. So what we did, just for the fans to understand, we kept it essentially gender specific. We kept it at female because if we started adding males and stuff, this would have got very diluted. It 100% would have got very diluted, because when you start talking about pop artists, R&B artists, it would have got diluted. So we kept it with females just to kind of make this conversation go a little bit more smoothly.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, I can go. You want to go to? I mean, I'm ready to talk. So we're gonna talk.
Hey, if you're ready, do your thing.
Okay.
I'm here to mediate. I will chime in as needed.
I got a question, bro. So, the number 1 female artist of all time is gonna be Whitney Houston. Do you feel like she's up there with Whitney Houston in that top 5? Like, you think what, like 2 or 3?
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you why, and we can talk about history with that. A lot of times when people think about Beyonce, they think of Beyonce, the performer, right? So you think of the lights, you think of the cameras, you think of the action, you think about the vocal, and you also think about the dancing. So they oftentimes put her in that category with Michael Jackson. When you think about Whitney Houston, as well as a plethora of other Black artists, they've all had their times where they were hot for a moment and then they sizzled out. Whitney Houston, undeniably, to me, is the best singer of all time. Let me just say that first and foremost. The passion, she sung with the soul, she sung with the spirit. However, Whitney, towards the end of her career, lost her what? She lost her gift, she lost her voice. So the consistency with Whitney was not always there. If you look at any old Whitney tracks, you can play it back, look at it on YouTube, a gift from God. But every single time that she went to go for it, the pattern of the song would have to change. The strategy in which you have to use to hit those notes change. So yes, Whitney is great. I think she's the number 1 singer. However, consistency is where Beyonce differs from a lot of these artists, because consistently, she delivers to that point. Even when she's sick, even when a note is missed, you can never tell. So yes, I agree with you, my brother. Whitney Houston, without a doubt, is the foundation, the blueprint of what a pop singer should be, specifically from an African-American lens. However, consistency, she did not have. And that's something that you can look. That's not me just saying it. That's something that is factually can be proven. So yeah, that's my approach.
I don't disagree with that at all. You know, Whitney Houston had her personal struggles that bled over into her professional career, and I feel like with the longevity and consistency, she wasn't quite there. And Beyonce, ever since she started out, she been on it. You know, I feel like nobody else matches her longevity outside of Madonna, but I don't know who actually listens to Madonna in this day and age. I mean, her old stuff slaps, but like,
if you didn't listen to Madonna, this is such a bad place to be. You have to. You almost have no choice. But you know, you also can't forget about Shania Twain, who's also in this conversation, who's somebody that's been around for a very long time, had an extremely high amount of album sales in general, up in the upper 30 millions. Actually, no, 40 million. She was right behind Whitney Houston, actually, if I remember correctly. Whitney is always going to be the highest selling point blank period. I think she hit a number. She even has the Guinness World Record for most awards amongst female artists. Like, she's got an absurd amount of awards from what I was looking at earlier today.
So let me give a little update on that, because, you know, I'm a fact checker. I'm moving the shaker. Beyonce is the most awarded female artist, depending on which Guinness book you look at. Whitney Houston was the previous holder of that record. So that is correct. Up until the last maybe 5 years, Whitney did hold that record, which is just, again, a testament to her wonderful career. And also, let me just say this in talking about Beyonce, because as a Beyonce fan, you kind of get to that space and people are like, when you start getting in the fandom, it's like, oh, Beyonce can't do no wrong. Let me say this. There are issues and problems that I have with Beyonce that exist outside of the specific artistry. Specifically, when you think about Whitney Houston was a phenomenal actress, and she was a dual talent in terms of her being able to sing, but also her being able to act. Beyonce is not the best actress, right? And also she doesn't go for those parts. But however, when she does act, she gets the paychecks to go with it. But Whitney Houston, I feel like, is the greatest, and just giving her a shout out, because again, she is foundation. Whitney Houston crossed into a whole bunch of lanes musically that Black artists had not, and she actually was the first Black female artist that white America wanted to win. So we love Whitney Houston. Shout out to her.
I'm gonna give Beyonce her flowers when it comes to acting. I thought she did pretty all right in Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls wasn't bad. Was it Fighting Temptations? Was one of the first times we saw it, a little bit slightly older Beyonce on screen. It was a good movie for the culture. Let me say it like that. Because everybody, it wasn't a movie that everybody worldwide would have known about. But if you from the culture, you done been to church on Sunday, Fighting Temptations kind of fit that bill. Like, so you were like, all right, cool, I can get down with this.
Yeah.
Let's not forget she was also in Austin Powers 3, but I'd also like to forget that movie even existed. We ain't gotta talk about Austin Powers.
Goldmember was a hit.
I was about to say that was Goldmember, wasn't it? That she was in.
Goldmember was a hit.
Goldmember was phenomenal.
It made a lot of money. We're not gonna
Don't tell me you hating on Goldmember now.
Goldmember.
Man, I watched it when I was a kid. I thought that shit was fucking cheesy, even back to the age of 11.
I'm trying to tell you, dog.
Man, like, I rather watch a scary movie when I was that age. Fuck that.
I must have got an early contact at that age because that shit was hilarious.
Yeah, she's got some pretty memorable movies.
I don't really care for that movie.
I don't either. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But Dreamgirls, absolutely. Beyonce smashed her role. She smashed her role because she played her on screen.
She didn't play her, Michael.
She played her. I mean, come on now. She played the lead singer of a top group. Like that's what I mean by playing her. So
okay,
yeah. I'm not saying like that was like her, like how her personality and stuff. I'm just saying she's been around so many different groups. She's been in that space. So she was able to pull something from the bad times in the group and seeing other groups and then put it into that one character because she's been there. She's had bad times in her group too. That's why I think Dreamgirls, with her being the lead singer Dreamgirls and her role was phenomenal. She did amazing in that movie.
Yeah. And you got Cadillac Records too, which if you like black music, it talks about Muddy Waters, that whole thing about Cadillac Records. She played a drug addict. So, I mean, she's had some depth there for sure. But definitely, I don't feel like the roles are as strong, as powerful as the Whitney Houston movies. Now, I feel like, Whitney, you know, it's just a different
The Bodyguard still goes down as one of those phenomenal films.
Like, Jennifer Hudson got the Oscar for being the best supporting actress. Beyonce didn't. Like, she didn't even get nominated. It was Jennifer Hudson who fucking carried that movie.
But Jennifer Hudson is another one of those that was a great that was a good artist that became a really, really strong actress as well. Like she bridged that gap pretty well.
I wish I'd have thought of this question yesterday as we were talking about the pop culture aspect of it. Like your best or your favorite performers turned actors or singers turned actors. I wish I'd have thought about that yesterday. But you know, probably a different conversation for a different day. That's gonna be a good one to do though.
But so with our to continue on this pop trend that we're talking about at the moment. So we've covered. We talked about Whitney Houston. We kind of threw Shania in there a little bit, but now we talk about somebody like Mariah Carey. We talk about Celine Dion. We talk about Britney Spears. And we talking about pop. We got to make sure we're gonna have an R&B conversation in a minute. We're talking about pop right now.
Okay.
I mean, let's go from backwards on forwards. You mentioned Britney Spears last. Nobody can undermine what she accomplished 20-something years ago. Like, even if you didn't like pop music at that age, like you knew all the Britney Spears songs because they was all over the radio. Like she was in commercials and everything. But when it came to longevity and consistency, y'all know once she shaved her head, that was a fucking wrap.
But I think that goes into, let's talk about pop culture at that particular moment, right? So the thing about Britney Spears is Britney Spears was the blueprint for what a pop star had been because we just got off of the Madonna trend, then we switch. I cannot talk because I'm so excited. We switch over into the teeny bopper, NSYNC, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Jessica Simpson, Pink. That was the early 2000s.
We had Mandy Moore. We had Avril Lavigne.
Boy, hey.
Like, look, we talking pop. Look, that's one of my favorite genres of music. Like, we get, you know, we even had the Spice Girls was big at this time too. Like,
voice.
Right.
Me and Scary Spice. If you single, Scary, I'm single.
Look.
Hello.
No, I love it, but like when we talk about, you know, I'm gonna kind of continue on what kind of what Outlaw was talking about. Yeah, I know we know the Britney had a bad downfall.
Tenderoni 57. We're not speaking in generalities unless you're just talking about the acting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and listen, I will have something to say on that, but I'm gonna let it be what it is. We're gonna come back to it.
Something that I've always thought, and I said this last night in the meeting, and Micah looked at me crazy, but I mean, you can watch the videos and say what you want, but when it comes to performances, Britney Spears, it puts on one of the best performances you'll see. Like, and this is pre-social media, this is like CGI, like this is like, because Britney could actually dance before, you know, this is not just, oh, I picked it up, you know, as I became an artist. No, Britney was dancing when she was a kid. And then the music, just like her and Justin Timberlake came back from the Mickey Mouse Club days, we know we talking way back when. So like when Britney Spears put on a show, what Britney Spears did is what people see from Taylor Swift now, as far as the allure, because when Britney performed, everybody and their mom flocked to it. When Taylor Swift has a concert, everybody flocks to it. So like I'm not gonna say she's like one of one.
But do you feel like Taylor Swift, outside of her singing, do you feel like she's a great performer?
No, I don't, because I feel like Britney is a total performer, because it's not just the singing, it's the dancing, it's the actual choreography. Because the choreography, for what it was, because we know that's one good thing about the pop era, is the choreography was there. Like, even if you weren't the best boy band or whatever the case, you had some kind of choreography to match with the songs. So like it all blended together. And and then with like Beyonce, to go, to kind of bring back that way, her performances are nothing short of essentially a masterpiece, if you want to call it like that, because there's with Beyonce's performances, there's a theatrical aspect to it that a lot of people don't talk about. So now we start looking at kind of stuff that we would see from like Michael Jackson and his music videos is what you see from Beyonce and her performances.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm agreeing with everything this brother is saying. People want me to be so defensive on this, and I'm definitely not, because we're talking facts. So let me say this. I disagree in the point of Britney Spears being a complete performer, and that Britney's mic was not on. Okay, so when you heard Britney Spears, yes, she was dancing almost like Jennifer Lopez. Yes, she was dancing. Yes, she was the standard. However, that mic was not on. And I think, again, when you think about performances, when Michael Jackson sung and he was dancing, the mic was on. See, Black performers, when we perform, we got to go the extra mile, meaning that mic need to be on, and you got to catch those steps. Now, again,
got a shout out from his dad.
Not taking away anything from anybody, but being very present in terms of when we look at these performances, what are we seeing and how memorable they are. Britney Spears, the VMA performance with the snake, y'all remember that? That was a big pop culture moment, an iconic top 10 pop culture moment that nobody will ever forget. The mic wasn't on, but she gave you that performance. She sold you that performance, right? When you look at Beyonce, you're looking at Super Bowl, you're looking at moments not only for the general pop culture, but also moments in culture for us as Black people that we oftentimes do not see. So again, there's a different layer between, and I hate to be that person, but if you're going to talk about it, you have to talk about it. Somebody can be great in their arena, and they can be great because when you compare Britney Spears to Christina Aguilera to me tops Britney Spears. However, Britney Spears was the platform. She was the architect of the music. When you compare that genre, because also when you're talking about those people, let's not forget Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, and Beyonce are all in the same class with Usher, with Pink. Those people all came out at the same time. So even taking the conversation a step further and saying, looking at that peer group, who's still topping the records, who's still putting out consistent music and being relevant to today based on what they did 20 years ago. And that, again, divides it. Yeah, you can be at the top for a moment, and we see that with Mariah Carey, who is phenomenal. We love Mariah Carey. She writes her music. She has that ear. She has that artistry. But, again, she put out the Emancipation of Mimi because why? They counted her out after she did the, what was it, the Heartbreaker album? No, the Glitter album. The Glitter album.
It was Glitter because Glitter didn't sell as much as they anticipated.
Right. So again, it's ebbs and flows in the career, but consistency, you guys. That's what I want us to kind of think about a little bit more too as we talk about these different pop acts.
I'm probably about to shock. I'm probably about to shock some people with this.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
I'm probably about to shock. I'm probably about to shock some people with this.
I'm not even gonna lie to you.
So, as far as when I gave Jeremy a look yesterday is because Britney
we didn't
Spears,
even bring Miley Cyrus' name in this conversation.
I like
Miley though.
No, I like Miley.
Miley got a place.
All over the place. She was in hip hop. She was in pop. She was in country. She was in rock and roll.
She's fluid though.
She's very fluid. She's very fluid. Very, very fluid. She's very alternative. She can do a lot, right? And that's
she's versatile. That's what you look for.
Very versatile. Thank you, Outlaw. I think that's the thing we love about Miley is that she's very versatile. She can step into any genre and basically kill it. But as far as being consistent in one genre, I don't think that we're surprised to know that Beyonce is at the top and definitely deserves that recognition.
Yeah, because Miley cut her teeth in country. Like that was where she really. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big country fan. Like don't get me wrong. So because her country music is good.
Well, her dad is a country singer.
Yeah, her dad. But he's from that. I don't want to use not like bluegrass country, but he's from that older country. That's like some of his generation don't like this new country type stuff.
Yeah.
So
Britney Spears in no way, shape, or form is a better performer than Beyonce. Just absolutely not, bro.
Like and eat off of everybody else.
I'm not saying, hey man, look, Y'all know where I stand on my favorite, on who I think is the two best female performers of all time. And who would be in my top 3 as well, because I'd add Jennifer Lopez into that big 3 as female performers. But
performer, yes, but singer, she stole everybody else's fucking song.
I didn't say singer. I just said performer.
Okay, I know. I'm about to say
I just said
that's
performer.
what they expected. That's what they're expecting me to do.
I just said performer, dog. I just said performer, but Britney Spears in no way, shape, or form is a better performer than Beyonce. Absolutely not. And like I said, performers is where we were gonna have a lot of bias in, because there's no definition of what a top performer is. It's just pretty much what. Yeah, it's really subjective. So, but I personally don't think Britney Spears is a better performer than Beyonce.
I second that.
London got a big smile on his face because he thought I was gonna go the other way with that.
No, I mean, a fact is a fact. Listen, I'm only speaking facts with y'all. But yeah, I think that's the interesting thing when you start talking about music too, you know, thinking about the different biases when you're having a conversation, and again, bringing it back down, because again, all those people that you're talking about, the fact that we're talking about them on a specific show and their name is coming up is, you know, that's a privilege in itself, right? That means that you've done your craft a justice, and that you're being brought up and compared to all these people, because they all are great in their own right. However, I feel like the light shines a little bit brighter on specific artists and not others. But certainly all of them deserve a moment, you know. I don't know what the Mount Rushmore of specific industries or like music would look like, because it'll look so different depending on who you ask. But I think that there are certain people that make contribution, and that's the difference between somebody that's just a regular singer and somebody that's a legend or an icon. And people these days throw that word around, and I think that you have to contribute to the culture and you have to contribute to the art form in order to be a great. And I feel like that's what people lack, right? Like I got ate up one day on the Shade Room talking about Sierra. Now that ain't even on this conversation, but I said that she's great. I think that she stood in a moment in time, but is she somebody I would consider to be a legend and an icon? No. Same thing with Chris Brown. Why? Because of the consistency, and they don't add anything in terms of pushing the culture forward when it comes to the art form. Yeah, they put out great music. Yeah, they have a good catalog of things, but what have they done to push that specific art form forward? That's the question you got to ask yourself when you're talking about legends and icons and all these people and what they've contributed to the specific music industry.
So, Brother Londo, to back up a second, you're saying that Chris Brown is not an icon or a legend in your mind?
I knew that was coming.
I'm gonna say something controversial.
Go ahead.
Disregarding who he is as a person, because that motherfucker ain't right. We're just gonna put that out there. Like, we do not condone what he does in his personal life.
Every generation of black artists have a Crazy Brown.
Bobby Brown,
James Brown, and now Chris Brown.
Hey, listen, y'all gonna leave Bobby out of this, all right? It's his prerogative, damn it.
But all them Crazy Browns, though, they got down with the white girl. I ain't talking about white girl, I'm talking about the white girl that you put your fucking nose. That crack is a fucking motherfucker. But no, Chris Brown, I'm gonna say this. I feel like he is a legend in the game. That dude is a fucking amazing performer, great singer, very talented, very versatile. I feel like he holds himself back. He could go much further if he pulled his head out of his ass in a lot of regards. But I feel like, you know, that motherfucker Sherrod.
Look, we don't even know who we're talking about. He just put
No. He talking about Chris Brown. I know exactly what he talking about. Chris Brown. Sherrod is another guy that's on the show with us. One of us for Gentleman's Talk.
Put out a stupid country song. Was that all of? I actually don't understand.
I have no idea what's going on here.
That's the chat for you.
I issue the same sentiments of as Outlaw. I think Chris Brown is definitely talented. I think he's definitely a legend in his own right in the game. Just coming in from a young standard, facing the adversity that he's faced. Like we said, you know, disregarding his personal life, because we understand that white girl, you know, do some things to you. Like James Brown said, another one of those Crazy Browns, cocaine is a hell of a drug. But just how talented he is, singer, songwriter, right? Lyricist, artist.
Let me answer that one.
Athlete, right? Like just a lot of the stuff that he does for the culture, not necessarily music, but just outside of music, like art, like pushing sports forward, just stuff like that. Yeah, I think that kind of brings him into legendary status in his own right. But I can understand the music part, though. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I think like Outlaw said, he does get in his own way a lot. especially with his extracurricular.
Yeah. And so I think to kind of quantify Chris Brown, he's much more what we would call polarizing. But at the same time, Chris Brown was extremely important to our youth because of when he came out. And Lundo said, a key word here was longevity and consistency. For the most part, Chris Brown has consistently put music out there. He has put out hit after hit after hit after hit. Even when he was going through some things, he was still dropping solid music. And so it's like, but I think the word polarizing kind of fits more than, I won't call him a legend necessarily. I'm not mad if somebody wants to call him iconic, because I do feel there's like when we talk about it in sports, when we look at somebody like Kobe, who kind of copied and used all of Michael Jordan's moves. Chris Brown did a lot of stuff that Michael Jackson was doing and he pulled that phenomenal tribute to a GOAT, to a true, all-time legend. So I'll never be mad at somebody if they want to call him, if they want to call him an icon.
If Chris Brown wasn't
I think
a troubled
polarizing
individual, he'd be up there. I feel like a lot of folks can't get past what he's done as a person, and that holds him back. I feel like had he not done half the shit that he's done, this would be a totally different conversation.
And I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here, and I'm gonna pose this question to everybody watching. And again, he's extremely talented. I take nothing away from him. I think that he can act. He's a triple threat. So let's put that on the table. In terms of growth and in terms of contributing to the art form, whether it be acting, whether it be singing, whether it be dancing, and this is for me as somebody that's a viewer of you all and also somebody on the panel now, what has he done significantly to push the conversation, to elevate the platform? Because yes, you've talked about what he's done in terms of putting out the music, putting out the albums, and being consistency. But as far as taking that next step, when you think of the greats, when you think of the legends, when you think of the Aretha Franklins, you think of the Michael Jacksons, you think about, even I would dare to say, the Ushers. You think about that, they've all pushed. But what has Chris Brown done to push in that industry and in that conversation? That's what I want to pose to you all.
Honest to Moses, I feel like Chris Brown has just always been, to use basketball terms, he's always been an all-star, but never a superstar. He's never elevated his game. He's always been great, always been, I feel like just bottom of the line, he's always been great, but he's never been phenomenal. And I don't know if he's reached his ceiling as a performer, artist, what have you, but I've never thought of him as somebody who can take it to the next level. I feel like he's kind of already reached his peak. And that's okay, because what he does now is fucking great, in my opinion.
I think,
and after the way that London put that out, I get it, and I get it from this perspective. When you talk about what has he done to push things forward, and it's like, then you look at one of his most significant relationships. You look at Rihanna. Rihanna has done a lot for pushing the culture forward with her clothing line and everything else. So now, as soon as he said it that way, I was like, all right, I get what he's saying. If Chris Brown has business ventures, he sure don't talk about them.
He has a clothing
and
line.
Sometimes you are a silent partner, and sometimes you want to keep it that way. So,
Oh man.
He has a clothing line. He has a vape line, but
he does have a clothing line. He does.
I think when it comes to, at least for me, when it comes to pushing the culture forward, I think it means to kind of
take your ass to work anyway,
or bring somebody up that you may have a vision for, or may see some very strong promise in, and kind of push them into the forefront, right? Like you see Beyonce, you see the Drakes, the Justin Timberlake, all these guys, right? All these guys we consider legends when we consider them pushing the culture forward. Even the Ushers, right? When we consider them pushing the culture forward, we kind of see them have a young apprentice or somebody that they're kind of building up to kind of take over the mantle or take over the role in which they kind of set, or the role that was set as a standard of R&B or hip hop, whatever the case may be. So it's like, when you look at Chris Brown in that sense, I understand where Lendo's coming from, because it's like, who is his real, like, what has he really done to take his moniker or take his imprint on the game and kind of make sure that somebody else is going to kind of carry on the torch or push that forward, or continue his way, or continue in that lane. So I definitely get that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I understand that point. That's
I'm gonna counter that with one question here, just because. Well, first, let me go back. Let me back up, and I want to answer this question that was posed before I get to that, because I was going to answer, but y'all went on to the Chris Brown
switching lanes.
So why is Beyonce switching lanes now? Okay, let me answer this question in the most respectful way I can. And let me address it like this. An artist shouldn't be confined to what the public thinks they should be confined to. That's the point of artistry. It's being creative. It's being who you want to be, being who you are. Like, I mean, yes, granted, I didn't like the country album that much, okay? But people just tend to forget that Beyonce is still from the South. Country music is alive and well in Texas. She grew up around it, around that culture. So for somebody to say she's switching lanes, she's not switching lanes at all. That's still part of her culture. Like if you come to Texas, you see black cowboys, you see black people at the rodeo. That's very much well and alive in our culture down here in Houston and the South. I am one of them.
I'm wearing my boots right the fuck now.
GQ was one of them. I mean, I'll come around the corner, I'll be jamming, let's say Chris Brown, and the next thing you hear is some Tim McGraw, and I keep my jamming going. I don't care what nobody got to say. That's just part of the culture. So I don't think she's switching lanes. But again, if she was going from singing R&B to, I don't know, some damn Dutch music, let's say Dutch, it wouldn't matter because that's what she's feeling on doing. That's what she's inspired by. That's what artists do. They make music of what they're inspired by. So maybe at this point in her life, she was just feeling country music more than she was feeling R&B. And I get it. Or she was feeling more than pop because country right now is one of the top genres in the world. Like it's got to be a top 3, especially the way it's kind of moved more towards what an older audience would say, deviate away from old school type of country. And it's okay for that to happen because it's okay for different things to evolve. So that's how I'm going to answer that. Now, going back to Chris Brown.
Oh, dang. I want to hop in there real quick.
Me too. I ain't going to lie to you.
Let's
hop we in that thing. Let's go.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Beyonce being country, right? So again, I'm a Beyonce fan, like tried and true from Houston, Texas, all the things. She posted something on her website that says being country. So just to give a little context into where the country album came from, in 2016, shortly after Lemonade, she had a song called Daddy's Lessons or something like that. And she had it on the Lemonade album. She performed it with the Dixie Chicks at the CMA Awards. Basically, she had a bad response from mostly white audience, and they were saying, Beyonce's not country. What is she doing here? She should have never came. She should have never performed. So, fun fact, the country album was supposed to come out before the Renaissance album. So if you listen to the end of the country album, it leads into the beginning of Renaissance. You got to listen to it sonically and it makes sense. But essentially what this album was is she did the research, right? And this is something else that I want to talk to y'all about when you think about like artists. And I don't want to push this too much because we're going a lot of different directions, but artists being students, right? That's one of the biggest things or biggest problems that I have with artists today is nobody is studious in doing their craft. When Beyonce put together this country album, you hear all different elements of country. You hear the different sounds sonically, but then you also hear the history. There's a lady on the album called Linda Martell, who was the first Black woman to perform at the Grand Opry. And her history is interwoven into this album. And so as you're listening to the album, you're hearing different tributes to country music, but just not just traditional country, right? You're hearing bluegrass, you're hearing country, you're hearing Louisiana, you're hearing a little twerk, you're hearing all of these Southern sounds put together to make this gumbo of music. So I think when people ask the question,
that's a nice way of describing it.
Yeah, it's like a gumbo of Southern music. When people talk about the country album and why it was so important, and I like it, I don't like it, why she's switching it up, it's going back to her roots because she's a Black woman from Houston, Texas with Creole descended roots from Louisiana. So when you're listening to that music, that's what we hear on a day-to-day basis. But then also, you're also getting history lessons because in these Beyonce albums, specifically after Beyonce, all the albums tie into our history, it ties into our culture. And she's letting you know, like, yes, I'm an artist first. No, excuse me. Yes, I'm an artist, but I'm a Black woman first. This is my Black experience and my Black culture, my Black Southern culture. And I'm going to feed you this album, but also I'm going to break it down into a point in which it's feasible. And I'm going to teach you the history. I'm going to say something on this album. You're going to research who Linda Martell is. I'm going to say something on this album. You're going to look at who the songwriter is. It's a contribution album because, again, with this album, what's so significant is because of this album, she was the first Black artist in the history of the Billboard charts to get a #1 country album, a #1 country song, and to do it all while being Black. And so after her, now it's Shabuzi. He just had a whole song. That's a #1 song. Even Lil Nas X, who has the longest #1 song in history of Billboard's charts with Old Town Road, cannot do that. So that's just a testament to the contribution of the album and kind of where it came from. But I'll pass the mic.
Just to kind of expand on the why she would decide to go into a country genre, it's because country's Black music. And Beyonce that being a Black woman coming from the South, having a Black father, having a Black mom that comes from Louisiana, and understanding the history between both those relations and both those people, and the history of country music, linking up with Linda Martell and having her explain the history of country music and everything that goes into it. Country music and black music, and that was her ultimate power move. And knowing Beyonce, how the businesswoman that she is, and just knowing how, and this is the reason why I've always loved Beyonce, because she's extremely petty, and she knows she is. And a lot of, if you really know Beyonce, you know how petty she is. But she realized that the reception that she got from all the white fans from the link up that she did at the festival, right? Oh, okay, you guys don't like this. Let me go ahead and make my own. Let me go ahead and have this country album drop, because I know you guys aren't going to like this. But guess what? My people are going to like this, and everybody's going to question, oh, why is Beyonce doing this? Why is Beyonce doing that? Because this is her way of telling y'all, this is our shit. Country music is ours. Like, music is ours. We created this shit. You guys are just guest here. So this is me coming back as not only Queen Bee of another genre, but I can be Queen Bee in this genre. So y'all might want to watch her mouth.
Well said.
That's well said.
Well said.
That's well said.
The words of King Peddington III,
Yes,
also known as
sir.
Movie.
Well said, sir. Man, I was going to say, while we're talking about, Beyonce switching lanes and it being controversial, y'all might not know, for some of y'all who's young, but Tina Turner, she changed it up back in the 80s, and she blew the fuck back up. Like, her career skyrocketed when she changed it up. So it's not unheard of.
Literally, they named her the queen of rock and roll for a point in time. Like,
Yeah.
and we talked about this in the meeting last night. Like, Tina Turner didn't have a genre when she was making music. It was classified as rock and roll. Then when she went on her solo tip, she was like this in-between phase where, like, we were getting ready to go through this rock and roll electronica phase, getting into, that pre-R&B phase. Like, we were in a weird, Tina Turner was in a very interesting space of music, but she was killing it from where she was at.
Yeah.
Because
Tina
she had
Turner,
like this rock and roll meets show tunes type of thing going on where, like, you was like, I really get down with this. Like, when you listen to it, like, you listen to a song like Proud Mary. First of all, it sounds like a song you hear at church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like it do. It sounds like you can hear that song at a black church and the whole church be upside down. Like, everybody be wilding. But then you hear the show tuners, but you hear the rock and roll elements to it if you listen to everything going on in the background too. So it's like,
yeah. No,
That's what you call somebody in their own lane.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. And she reinvented herself.
And to take another step further, you got to think, man, Beyonce been making, I want to say, the same music for like, the last 30 years. Have you ever thought that maybe she's tired of, having to perform the same kind of genre of music? Let her branch out and try something else. Like, you ain't got to like it, but as an artist, she's entitled to make whatever fucking music she wants to.
Yeah, she's made hip hop, she's made R&B, she's made pop. She's literally, she has rock and roll tracks. Like, she's saying, like, I've been number one and I've been the top. I've been Queen Bee in all of these genres. And because I decided to go out and make a country album, all you guys don't like it and think I don't belong here? Bet. Say less.
The proof is in the pudding.
And back to y'all ridiculous Chris Brown take. Ridiculous Chris Brown take. Listen, you said, well, this person. Listen, here's y'all know Rihanna's Caribbean. I'm Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? Listen. I don't know how much y'all know Caribbean women. Hey, look, dog, Caribbean women fight, bro. I'm from that culture. They fight. So, but nonetheless, I would never put my hands on a woman. So, but I always have to go out and say that just because they fight. They do. I'm telling you. But as far as Chris Brown, ever since that incident, and y'all are talking about him pushing forward and this. He's tried to, but like Jonell said, the industry was from that incident, he became unmarketable. And after that, he kind of went the Kanye West route. Okay, the rest of the industry won't mess with me, but my fans will, so I'm going to appease to my fans. And then once he built his name back, he was like, all right, time to go pop music since everybody's trying to, and then he went pop music and he pushed the boundaries in pop music. The same when we're talking about people crossing different genres, he's done it. He crossed into Afro beats. He made a phenomenal Afrobeat track with DeVito would blow my mind. Like, he's done it. He's been all over too. So we can't just sit here and say he's done nothing to push it. He has. He's just not as marketable as these other people y'all are calling out because he constantly does foolishness and shenanigans off camera and what he feels like is off camera, but There's cameras everywhere.
Ain't no such thing as off camera in the social media era.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, Michael. Like the dude is fucking immensely talented, but like he holds himself back. Like he can't get out. He cannot get out of his own way, and the industry does not forgive. People don't forget these days. Like he fucked himself over 15 years ago, putting his hands on Rihanna and everything.
But that's what I don't think it's the fan. I necessarily right. I think the fans, most fans will consider him a legend and an icon. The industry will forever not give him that status.
Chris Brown will never be at the Super Bowl. Like, and he can put on a great fucking show. He will never get that chance, though. He will never get that chance.
I'm about to say, he sure got a list of tracks that will be phenomenal at a Super Bowl performance, like 100%.
But it will never happen.
But Micah, you and I have talked about this on numerous occasions, and you know, we'll see how the panel agrees with this. The most self-destructive people out there are us to our own selves. Yes, and by us, I mean the black people. Like we are our own worst enemies. Whether it's us tearing ourselves down or we tearing down others within the culture, like why we are like this, I don't fucking know. But we are.
Ever since we got equal rights, we've been fighting each other. Like they gave us fucking the right to fucking drink from white fountains, and we've been fucking fighting other niggas ever since then.
You are right.
You're absolutely right.
It goes deeper than that. And so when we think about us as a community, it's like the Monique thing. I love Monique. She's a truth teller, and she stands in her truth, and she knows her facts. And that's why I said when you had this conversation, it's super important to be knowledgeable about what you're talking about and standing in your truth. And so when we think about why, and this is the thing I also have bringing it back to Beyonce with our people, right? Like we want to see our people win until we don't. And after we feel in our personal right that you shouldn't, because you are who you are, you too known, you too famous, you too good. It's all we put our own boundary and our own border on ourselves, and then we wonder why we can't sit at those tables for long extended periods of time instead of supporting one another and building how we can build. All the people that you named that are great, if you really think about how they interacted with the industry, they tried to pour back and pull the people behind them up, as opposed to keeping them down. They weren't scared to share the spotlight with somebody. The people that you see that sit on the sideline that we no longer talk about, think about what those people did in those conversations that those people were a part of. And so when you say, why as Black people do we feel stagnant when we have these conversations? It's because somebody's scared that somebody else is going to take their spot, as opposed to putting up a chair and figuring out how we can build together. And specifically with music, music should be reflective of the times. When you're listening to music, it's great to make great music, fun party records. I really got on this, I don't know how y'all gonna feel about this. I recently got on the Sexy Red train of like listening to her music because she's not talented at all to me.
Nope.
In the least. But let me tell you what she is. She's a good time and she's authentic. And I like that for a moment. That's not gonna be something they're gonna be talking about in 10, 20 years.
Pleasure.
Right, you know, but what I'm saying is
guilty about that because ain't nothing pleasurable about it.
But
Sexy Red have good beats, bro. Whoever making her beats are making some bangers of beats.
Yeah, but we can say the same about all the mumble rappers. They have sensational fucking beats, but they all was trash.
Crazy right now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
They just released a thing on Billboard and she's like the number 2 popular right under Nicki Minaj.
No, they had her at 1. For female artists, they had her. It was her, Nicki, Megan Thee Stallion, and then somebody named Gorilla or whatever the fuck. Like I was literally just reading this.
Gorilla go crazy.
Gorilla do go crazy.
Like, yeah, they have her currently. She is like the number 1. Like I was like, cool, bro. Because like Cardi B was at like number 8, and people was like upset about that. Cardi B and what's the other one? Ice Spice. That's her name. Yeah, Ice Spice was like number 7. Yeah, it was a controversial ass list.
Sexy Red she just make like stank pussy music in my opinion. Like I just feel I don't know, man.
Say it with your chest.
Not for kids.
Speak your truth.
I just feel like a lot of the females I know that bump Sexy Red and like do it like unironically, like they actually like her music. They'd be like the females with like the fucking 6-inch acrylic nails, got an OnlyFans that ain't want no fucking wear, on their 3rd baby daddy, probably got hepatitis or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm just being fucking audacious right now, but fuck it. I'm just A, B, C, and D, nigga. I'm sorry. That was forgive.
That was like a prequel to an Outlaw Unhinged type of thing.
Yeah, that was like unhinged.
That was beautiful.
What was the second thing we had up on the pad here?
We have top R&B female artist is what we had next. We're going from pop to R&B.
I like to throw Celine Dion's name in, and I don't know how much y'all consider her pop, but she's just they say pop is short for popular. I don't think so, because I think pop has its own sound. But if pop is short for popular, like people say, I would throw Celine Dion up there, because Celine Dion's longevity has been freaking crazy in her own right.
I felt like that about R&B too. Like, we've completely diluted what R&B is.
Correct.
Like, you and me, Micah, you and I have had very, very, very long talks about the sound of R&B. Like, R&B really and truly died in like 2009. Like from what we knew.
Yeah, like I think once Neo,
because niggas ain't
Neo went pop
no more.
Once Neo went pop, I figured I was like, yeah, it's probably over for R&B.
Yeah, because like we thought we was good, you know, pre controversy, you know, like, you know, Diddy bringing in like Day 26, you know, TGT tried to pull a little bit of resurgence in there, like R&B tried. They held on as long as they could, but like the generation behind us, they don't fuck with that kind of music. Not like that. They just don't. It's considered simpish.
That's because they don't get no pussy. That's why.
But if
they like, you know,
that's how I view it. But you know,
that's because this whole new generation gay, bro. It's crazy.
It's not even that.
Because if you listen to like the R&B how we grew up, like for the generation behind us, they consider it simpish activity.
Man,
like literally sitting there and singing to a girl, or a girl singing to a dude, like confessing their feelings, is simpish to them. It's simpish activities, which I don't think that's true. Because if you truly love somebody, you're gonna do what you got to do. Like, you know, it is what it is.
I know my LGBTQ folks getting it in to some Brent Fires right now.
They are.
I'm trying to tell you, they don't get none. Y'all don't listen. They don't listen to music, man. I'm trying to tell you.
I want to say it was 21 Savage probably a while ago in an interview. He said like R&B kind of ain't the same because niggas don't fucking rap about love anymore, or like sing about love. Like it's all about like fuck these hoes, these bitches ain't shit, this, that, and the third. Like this generation, we kind of don't really love the same way because it's just it ain't got us nowhere. So why are you gonna fucking have? No, go ahead, Michael.
No, I'm just responding to her. The whole show is about Beyonce cementing her legacy amongst the all-time greats. What do you mean it's too much Beyonce? The show is about Beyonce. I don't mean to be rude or insensitive to your comment, but that's literally what the show is about.
And may I add, it's been a whole bunch of conversation, not just about Beyonce, I think just about music and how you identify a specific artist. I think that the kind of tie around is Beyonce, but certainly there's been mentions of Chris Brown, Usher, we're talking about R&B music. So it's really about understanding the palette of music and how you taste different musics and different textures is what I would add, just, you know, speaking out loud.
So well spoken. That's why I fuck with London.
So in this conversation, where are we putting Adele? Because we haven't even brought her name up, and Adele is a sensational performer, artist, songwriter, award winner, all the above. But like, she belongs in the conversation too. So like, where are we?
Adele
is that sitting in front of a window on a stormy day, just looking out the window kind of music. And I mean that in the best way possible.
Do it every time.
Yeah, you're just catching your vibe. You at peace. When I'm at peace, I listen to Adele.
I don't know if I would say I met. Sometimes Adele will have you at more than your peace. She'll have you having a whole breakdown.
Hey, she will. But that's. I mean, some people are at peace looking outside, just standing out the window watching the rain, and some people absolutely hate the rain. So for me, I will sit down. I will sit down in my room, open the window, and watch the rain as it falls, and have me a little Hennessy and just chill. And I'd be totally at peace, and I'll just sit there and listen to Adele. Yeah. That woman has the voice of an angel. Good Lord.
Adele is sometimes you fucking put on Adele when you're in the shower and have a fucking breakdown. She got something for everybody.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. Listen to her at the gym, okay? When I'm squatting, okay? She gives me energy.
Yeah,
Adele's like not on the workout playlist.
What Adele song on the workout playlist?
I was gonna say Adele is a once in a lifetime type of artist. I think the time in which she came along was very different. And let me tell you something about Adele. Adele is not gonna be that girl that's gonna give you upbeat songs. Adele's gonna be very consistent in her lane in terms of the music that you get, but you're always gonna get quality production. You're always gonna get quality sound. She knows what works for her. And that's what makes Adele great, because you're not gonna see her in a whole bunch of different genres, but she makes music that's limitless. That 25 album, let me tell you something. From the time that it came out, for about a year, I listened to it in the car. I listened to it during the holidays. I listened to it when I was going through it, when life was going through it, because the music is just, and that goes to tell you, like, really good music, it lasts for a very long time, and it can be situational based on when you're listening to it and what emotion emotes for you. So I think that's what Adele does so well. I would think that she's like soulful pop music. R&B originates from rhythm and blues. That's what the R and the B is. And so while Adele does have the notes, she does have the catalog, she does have the catalog, she does songwrite, she still is considered pop. She's not gonna go over into R&B because R&B has that almost. And see, when you think about like 90s R&B and that texture, that Monica, that Brandy, that growl, those
you
groups,
talking about you talking to the group right here to talk that way.
you have that, yeah, you have that specific sound to it. Adele is great. She has a beautiful voice. She can sing, but again, that's more like a soulful pop because it's going to be consistent in that sound, but you're not getting that roughness. You're not getting that full emotion in terms of like that undercut, R&B. But she's great.
She's great.
And she always
on that soulful pop, kind of like so almost on some similar to kind of like when Justin Timberlake first kind of went off on his end because
exactly
his solo thing, he was like, hold on, he got that upbeat pop, but then if he tapped into it now, he had you feeling some type of way.
Yeah, with the Timberland touches and stuff like that. Exactly the same thing, like still very, and that's why Black people too, that's why we like them, right? Because we have that similarity and that it has that soul element to it, but they're still marketable because it has that pop edge to it. So that's why Adele does so well within Black audiences, and she's very much so able to be fluid in her crossover ability. And she's funny as hell too. Her personality is amazing. I wanted to go to her show, but I wasn't gonna pay no $3,000.
And her weight loss journey was sensational too. Like, holy cow, she looked like two completely different people.
I mean, she looked good before the weight loss. I ain't gonna sit there.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Look, I'm not hating, but she also was going through a lot on the mental health side of the game.
Right.
And of course, if you watch pop culture, her relationship has kind of been was in and out of the news for a point in time too. If y'all, for those who aren't aware, for some odd reason, she is dating one of LeBron's guys.
Rich Paul.
Just make sure we understand that. And
you definitely much
it was very rocky, and there was conversations about agreements signed and all this other stuff. Even though Adele really got she really good by herself as far as her money go, but that's neither here nor there.
So top is Beyonce a top 5 R&B artist? And my answer to this is no. At least not as a solo artist. No. I think she's a top 5 female pop artist. I very well have no problem putting her in that conversation as a R&B artist, top 5. I tend to lean no because I do think more of her R&B stuff was with Destiny's Child, whereas to go to her solo career, it's been more pop type music. Even though you still have the R&B fling, you still got some R&B songs in there. Like Halo is one of my all-time favorite R&B songs. I'm not gonna lie about that. Halo is a freaking phenomenal song, and I think everybody's seen the video of her singing it while she was sitting at the desk with a small crowd of people, and she sounded amazing. That's probably the best I've ever heard Beyonce vocally ever. Like I was like, damn, I know Beyonce can sing. I didn't know she's singing like that though. I didn't know she's singing some R&B like that because I was so used to hearing pop Beyonce. So I would say no to a top 5 R&B singer as far as a solo artist goes.
I think she could be if she really decided.
Yeah, I think she could. She got the talent to.
We all know how the industry works and what really sells, right? And we understood, just like you guys said, how the shift of R&B happened within that mid 2000s before we got into 2010. So I think her and her label, they understood that, so they really decided to focus more on the soulful kind of slow pop more than a true R&B kind of form.
Correct.
So I think if that's why you can't necessarily classify her as a true R&B artist, but I think if she really wanted to step into that R&B genre and be like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna focus on R&B. I don't care about none of the extra shit that y'all doing. She definitely could be. Definitely could be. But I think at the time being where she was putting out all of her albums and the stuff that were hits, weren't necessarily R&B albums. They were more, even the Halos and the Love on Tops, like they're more soulful kind of
I
pop.
love that song.
Albums. Oh yeah, so Love on Top. I used to sing that at practice, football practice, mind you. Okay,
I used to work out to the gym in that song. I did not care. That was shit.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the tracks that she was releasing when she went solo, it was a mixture of R&B and pop. And I think because she saw the writing on the wall, just like we kind of did, like R&B was slowly fizzling out, unfortunately, like as far as popularity goes, not the music itself. So because a lot of the songs that she put, I mean, Irreplaceable was a good song, but it still was a popish kind of popish R&B song because it had that more up tempo, but we heard it. Baby Boy was a little bit more, obviously more popish. Naughty Girl, more of a club banger type track. Crazy in Love, call it what you will. If I Were a Boy was actually that was still kind of a slightly popish R&B song because it was still a little bit more up tempo than a lot of your traditional, some of the R&B that we would listen to. But then, of course, we know Single Ladies still played at every single wedding now. So when you talk about lasting impact you want to talk about a lasting impact, every single bouquet toss got, Single Ladies before they throw the damn bouquet. Like that's we're not gonna knock that at all. That's a real thing.
So I'm gonna let everybody talk. Go ahead.
I'll say this. This might be controversial, but I feel like Honest to Moses, like Beyonce was at her best when she was going through it with Jay-Z. Like Lemonade was a fucking banger of an album. Like I guess she must have been like fucking singing from the heart and writing from the heart, but like I feel like what she did on Lemonade was the fucking best work she's ever done.
Well, all right, Sherrod. That's an interesting statement. That's an interesting statement.
So I'm gonna say this with Beyonce. I think that regardless if you ask me any question, Beyonce is going in my top 5 female artists for sure, because I'm gonna tell you why. 2 different things. And I already talked about the consistency part, so I'm gonna lean off of that and I'm gonna go into something else. Vocally, the best Beyonce album is this album that we just got. This Cowboy Carter album is vocally the best Beyonce has ever sounded. And I can say that 110% because it mixes so many different genres in terms of opera. You hear R&B in there, you hear country. Vocally, this is the best album. Now, when we talk about R&B singers, I'm gonna tell you what people don't know about Beyonce. She is a skilled ass vocalist. Let me tell you something. When they say the mic is on, I've seen it in person, like on the piano, upside down, singing the songs, and the notes sound effortless. And almost majority of the time, the note sounds better in person than it does for whatever key change than it does on the actual record. So when you think about R&B music, I agree with you that you said Lemonade was a good album. It was rooted in R&B, right? Like, so you get a real rich texture of R&B music there based on the way that she described the album. So for me, vocally, vocal control, vocal breathing, the flexibility of the lung, all the things, she has all the skill set.
We're getting the vocal. We're definitely getting the vocally later.
Yeah, if we're doing, but I'm saying everything overall in terms of it not missing and it always being consistently there, I'm always gonna put her top 5. And any question that you ask me in terms of any genre that she's covered, I'm always gonna put it in top 5 because it's consistently gonna happen and it grows. And also, let me tell you this: listen to, and this is gonna end the game right here. We think about growth when you listen to artists and how they sing. Listen to the first ever Destiny's Child album and listen to this last Beyonce album. There is no doubt in my mind that she didn't practice, that she didn't rehearse, that the voice has gotten stronger, it's gotten better. Listen to Dangerously in Love, which is the R&B song in 2003 when it was released, and listen to it at the Renaissance in 2023. Listen to the range, listen to the pieces that she's changed. The voice is there, and it's only going to get better because at this peak in time, most artists, specifically female artists, with the exception of Tina Turner, because she had a resurgence when she was 40, and then she dropped Private Dancer when she was 44. But with the exception of Tina Turner, by this time in a peak, the voice has changed. Listen to Mariah Carey. When Vision of Love came out, listen to the new Mariah Carey, or even Mariah Carey was 40. So when we're talking about, is she a top 5 R&B singer? Absolutely, in any category. And she always going to carry. And the mic can be on, just the mic and the light.
Okay, well, I was speaking specifically toward like her music, not her vocals, just her music. That's why.
The next album.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was saying. Like, we're gonna get to the vocally later. I'm just talking about her music. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna drop this. The next album that's coming out, this is a VIP exclusive. The next album that we get is an R&B album, and you can I bet $1 million on it. So the next Beyonce album, Act 3, is R&B. It's not rock and roll. It's R&B. So you'll get your taste of R&B music coming up next.
Okay.
Probably in 2026. I guarantee it.
You was rushing ahead quick, and I was trying to stop you to save you for the vocal. I was like, wait, vocally is.
I can come back to it, brother. I got something to talk about. 2026, y'all getting an R&B Beyonce album. Full circle moment.
All right.
To Moo's point, I do think if she would have just been like, I'm not gonna do no other music. I'm gonna do just strictly R&B. I do definitely think she had the capability to go down as on my top 5 of R&B singers, specific, geared towards just like their music only.
Definitely, because at the time, like y'all said, like it was a dying genre, not like but not like actually, but by popularity wise. So just her understanding that and her going on the run that she did, putting out club banger, like literally club bangers, radio bangers, like grocery store bangers, Christmas bangers. Like she understood the time frame and what needed to be done. If she literally sat back and told all the people like, nah, I'm gonna go on a 3-year run of just R&B, she would be top 5, and there wouldn't be
because we had another R&B artist that unfortunately was a victim to this, and her name was Alicia Keys. Had Alicia Keys come out at the same time that Usher came out, we're talking about a whole different thing because of how R&B was being viewed and looked at and how popular it was. It was more popular in the 90s and the 80s and 90s even than it was in the 2000s because it was already on its way down. But don't get me wrong, Alicia Keys is phenomenal. Like that, there's no knock on that. I love me some Alicia Keys now, especially songs in A minor. That was great. You know, good.
Ooh.
Go ahead, Micah.
No, I wasn't gonna say nothing. You was hitting some points.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, most of us, it was a childhood crush for a lot of us too. But you know, that's not here. Yeah, but I mean,
you totally forgot. So I'm gonna say Alicia Keys. I like Alicia Keys, actually. She's talented, but I'm not like the biggest fan of her. She was the one that won the 5 Grammys in one night before Beyonce did. Alicia Keys' album, when it came out, it crushed. One person that nobody has mentioned, and when I say the name, they said she was gonna be bigger than Beyonce, Ashanti. Okay, so thinking about that. I promise you. So you look at Ashanti, she's she's the highest selling R&B debut single artist.
Yeah, for sure.
A female of
no, you're right. I just didn't think she was right into a very specific window.
I just never thought she'd be bigger than Beyonce.
Yeah. No, New York Times wrote an article in 2003 and said Beyonce is not going to amount to the success of R&B super diva Ashanti. And so Ashanti was another person. And I think also too, strategically speaking, it's a choice, right? Like if she would have done, I don't think we would have had the same conversation, the same perception of Beyonce had she just done R&B, because then she would have been confined just to that specific thing. They were smart in the strategy to say, okay, she has crossover appeal. We got Destiny's Child, which is originally was supposed to be an R&B group, but they were able to cross into pop. So we're going to take this and we're going to make her as the Black pop star. Because there really was none beside Ashanti, but she was more so focused on R&B. Then you had Aaliyah, who was there, but then she had also just passed. So again, that's when the timing, the opportunity came over for her to cross over into those different genres and to become Beyonce. But I think if she would have stuck specifically to R&B at that time, it would have ended her career, and we would not have been talking about her today. I would not be wearing this Renaissance shirt.
It's
that's
funny.
She's smart in that sense, because she knew she's not going to confine herself to no corner. She's a very savvy businesswoman like that.
I'm mad I didn't know about this article, because I would have loved to read it.
No, when he said it, I remember when it came out, but you got to remember, we weren't privy to the whole social media thing like we are now. So like, this is in the MySpace days when this shit was happening. So like, if it wasn't somebody like we had to get on to like Yahoo or something and see like this type of stuff, like, you know, get on the actual Billboard or the Source magazine's websites to see these articles. Like if this was happening in our current social media area, it'd have been all over the place. The Shade Room would have been all over it. Like, you know, we'd have seen it. But I get the point, because yes, Ashanti 100%. You know, there was a point in time when she, you know, she was big, she was major.
Facts.
But she was also a part of that 2000s era of like when the South was just killing the game with all, when the hip hop world was going on, and it was like, oh snap, everything that felt like it was big was coming out of the South, even though a lot of people don't like to admit that. But
thank you, sir.
You speak for yourself. I'm
London.
just gonna, you know.
Thank you, London. I appreciate that, because I'm really excited to read this article. But to be I guess when you look at it in hindsight, I guess the article isn't as crazy as you think, because most people thought Beyonce was going to be one of those. She's going to make at least 1 or 2 solo albums and be forever with Destiny's Child. And Ashanti was by herself and was ascending. So, I mean, what was this article back in 2003? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you look at that frame of time. But I never thought a day in my life Ashanti was better than Beyonce. Never a day in my life. I never thought a day in my life she was better than Aaliyah. Never a day in my life. And me and my little cousin argue this all the time, because she swear up and down by Ashanti, and she think Ashanti is better than Aaliyah, Alicia Keys. She thinks she right on par with Beyonce. I'm like, I have no idea what you got going on, but maybe you just relate to her more, and that's fine.
She had a great run at the time that
She
she
had
was
a nice
relevant,
run.
but
She had a nice run.
No.
And if you go back and look at all the songs that Ashanti also wrote outside of her own hit, she has a nice catalog.
No, definitely.
She has a nice catalog.
But I think the ultimate difference is right, and to go back to what Orlando was saying earlier, it's Beyonce's vocal range and her vocal ability. It gets better as she ages. Like the more that she gets, the older she gets in age, the upper she gets in age, the more experience that she gains. The higher, the more experience, the more expanded her vocal range goes. You can't really say that for a lot of these female artists. And I think that's the ultimate difference is not only can she get into a booth and she's going to lay a phenomenal, fabulous track, whether it's pop, whether it's R&B, whether it's country, whether it's hip hop, right? But she's going to step into the live stage. She's going to give you the choreo. She's going to give you the entertainment. She's going to give you the experience, and she's going to give you the vocals all in one. Not a lot of people can do that. And I think that's the ultimate difference.
You're hitting the nail on the head. And I think it goes to show how great of a group they put together with after the original members of Destiny's Child left, Adam and Michelle, because Kelly is one of the few artists. If you hear her sing now, she sounds way better than she was when she was younger. And we just heard Michelle on Mass Singer after she crossed into gospel and worked on her range. And I mean, just Destiny's Child is really like a super talented, super well-crafted group because they all had the work ethic after the. I mean, I'm not saying the originals didn't have it either because I absolutely love LaToya Luckett and I think she sounds phenomenal these days too. Absolutely. But just Destiny's Child was so well-crafted when it comes to girls that wanted to succeed, work ethic. You never had to question whether we're going to be in the studio or not. So that's just a nod to whoever picked Michelle to replace the other ones. And yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And it would be no Beyonce without Destiny's Child. You got to get them their flowers because I think this is the thing. To me, personally, Kelly Rowland is Beyonce's ace boon coon. But let me tell you something about Kelly Rowland that people do not know. You have to give her flowers. Kelly Rowland won a solo Grammy before Beyonce even touched a solo Grammy. Kelly Rowland. Michelle Williams, Michelle Carrier Bridge, Bridgington Williams. All them Destiny's Child songs, that bridge was Michelle. So yeah, Matthew did a great job of crafting the girls, but also the girls did a good job of understanding what their role was. But they were great together and they're great apart because they understand the checks and the balances. And there's a video that's trending always on time on social media of them singing a gospel song. And Kelly Rowland comes in sounding like a full force choir. That's talent. Her ability to listen, to catch notes, Michelle's abilities to craft a chorus, Beyonce's ability to pull together is amazing. And something I want to talk about with the pulling together, because one thing that people often talk about when I talk about Beyonce is the songwriting, right? They're like, does she write the songs? Does she not? I'm a Beyonce fan, so let me tell you this. With the songwriting thing, before we get to the next question, because I don't want to take over, but I do want to add this because it's a good segue. With the songwriting thing, something that's so unique about Beyonce's mentality when she develops a song is much like that of Motown. Now, I don't know how much y'all know about Motown, but back in the day when they had the Hitsville USA, there would be a songwriting camp, right? All the different songwriters would be in different rooms, and the artists would jump from room to room, and they're pulling different pieces from the songs, and they're putting them together. In order to get songwriting credit, you can change literally one word, and you can be subjective to get the thing. So when people say Beyonce don't write her music, no, she don't write every single song, but guess what? They'll tell you in interviews what Beyonce does. Micah could produce a song. I could produce a song. She mixes and brings things together and creates a work of art. Her sound, sonically, she knows where the notes should go, where the background vocals should go. She's producing and putting together a piece of art based on what she hears, sometimes what she writes, and that's what makes it a unique listening experience, right? Hey, like it's not just. Oh, go ahead, Michael. You got it.
Jeremy, make sure you clip this part because this is what we call musicality on our end.
100% musicality.
This is something that me and Jeremy crafted a while ago. We call it musicality. Exactly what you're explaining right now. Make sure you clip this.
Yeah, well, look, take it, my brother. But being able to hear different sounds, sonically being able to take different notes and piece and make something together, much like a Basquiat, when you took all these different pieces and been able to put it together, that's an artistic talent. So when you think about her styling and the way that she goes about doing things, that's how she works. And I mean, you have to think about it. When you're consistently putting together an album, you can record 100 songs, right? But being able to piece something together so strategic that it's a full body of work and then to be able to craft something on top of it, that's a talent. So when you think about greatness, Whitney Houston, love her to death. Again, like I said, the best singer. Whitney didn't write them songs. It wasn't until I got older that I learned that Whitney Houston and guess who else? My granny, You know what, Michael? She loves Luther Vandross. Those were cover artists, okay? Those songs, 9 out of 10 of the hits that they got came from somebody else. Luther Vandross' whole catalog is a carbon copy of Dionne Warwick's song catalog. Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. The greatest selling song from any movie soundtrack is a Dolly Parton song. They added their own soul and their own essence to it, but they didn't write it. Patti LaBelle, who is my grandma in my head, she does not write songs, but you don't have to be a writer in order to be a great artist. You can be a Mariah Carey who writes and has such an extensive vocabulary and be amazing. You can be an Alicia Keys who constructs and conducts her music. Your artistry is what you make it, but having that ability and that appeal to be able to tell a story, to be able to sing a story, to have somebody feel your emotions through your music is what it's all about in being an artist. And people don't get that because people nowadays, they lazy.
Well, I think going even deeper into that is not only being an artist, but being a musician. Being a musician has different lengths, right? It has different depths, it has different layers. And just because you don't write music, just because you don't necessarily play an instrument, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't understand pitch, tone, tempo, and know how to make a song and know how to feed off other people's pitch, tone, and tempos and be able to conduct in a chorus or harmonic level in order to be a group like they were, right? So a lot of people will, they don't write songs, they don't play instruments. It's like, so what? But they understand music to a different level that only a certain amount of people do. A lot of people will disregard or will forget the Lionel Richie interview where he's sitting up there, he's tapping, right? And to most people, that'll sound like just tapping. But he says to a lot of musicians, even to the most expertise musicians, it'll sound like just tapping. But to people who have a specific ear, right? A specific ear for music, that sounds like music, and they can take that tapping and literally make anything come from it. And I think that's the ultimate difference between a lot of these artists that we see today and a lot of artists that come from back in the day. They can take certain sounds, certain things, and turn it into something beautiful that we've never seen and never heard before, compared to now where they're taking a lot of samples, a lot of old things, a lot of old tracks, and just covering them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is panel?
And it goes. Look, they doing the game, and I think too, it's like familiarity. If you know a song was hot back in the day, when you hear that old song, it's going to trigger something it gives you a better chance of being successful when you collaborate. When a new artist collaborates on an old song, you hear a My Neck, My Back, you hear an old school R&B song, it brings you back to something, so it already kind of puts you ahead because it's like, oh shit, I know that beat, and so you want to catch on to it. But I also think you miss in that the original feel of that artist. Like you vibing on that, and that's what you want, but also how are you adding your creativity to take it to the next level? And that's my thing. It can be great or it can be mediocre depending on how you attack it and what you add to it. An artist that's truly an artist that sits down with it and understands the way that it flows, that's a specific amazing artist. You can have a demo tape, but you add something to it like a Whitney or like a Luther Vandross that elevates the song. Because I'm telling you, I thought Luther was one of the only one to ever sing those songs because he made it that way. When I heard, and I love Dolly Parton too, when you were talking about the tapping with Lionel Richie, Dolly Parton has an old interview that she does with Patti LaBelle where she's doing the nails and they're singing to it and they're hearing it and they're singing on tune. Those type of things make an artist great and amazing. Like it puts you worlds ahead when you understand what you're doing and how you craft your specific artistry with sound.
There it is.
There it is.
See, look at this. This is I just want to just highlight just how beautiful this conversation is. It ain't got crazy. It ain't been a bunch of ignorant. Ain't been no kind of ignorance going on. Nobody getting cussed out. Nobody yelling. Everybody talking their shit with facts, with respect, and it works. So moving into this one will be fun because this next question was one that Micah specifically came up with, and then I was just like, "This is interesting." I would like the more I was thinking about it while we were talking, I was like, "Damn, this is gonna be an interesting question." But the question was posed that is she a top 5 R&B lead singer artist?
A lead singer in the group or a solo?
A lead singer. So amongst all groups, we talk now this is like the only time we actually pull groups into this mix, but is she a top 5 lead singer in a particular group?
Now you know what? This is a good ass question because
this is a good question.
What?
I was like, the more
now you know what? Now this is a good question, Micah, because I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna tell you why. and I know that probably shocks a lot of people that I said no.
No, it don't shock me.
It don't shock you? I'm a realist. I think that Beyonce and Destiny's Child was young Beyonce.
Right.
And for me, she depended a lot on those runs in order to save her. When we listen, for me personally, if I go back and listen to Destiny's Child, probably before Survivor, when she was going on crazy runs, I can't listen to it for a very long time. So I think collectively, she is one of the greatest lead singers that went solo, like a Diana Ross. But when I think of groups like maybe the Supremes, I think of like In Vogue, I think of a variety of different groups. I don't say that she is one of the top, which I'm surprised I'm saying this, God damn it, but I'm a realist, gotta be real.
I know, that's why I posed this question.
She's not one of the top, which is crazy. I'm gonna talk to my friend about this. No, she's not one of the top 5 group singers. Damn.
But you see how the way it makes you think is you're like wait, because then you start thinking about, you named a couple of groups, then you start thinking about like SWV, you start thinking about, even throw TLC in there if you want to, like, you start really thinking like, is she?
And part of this is because, like you said, she was young Beyonce at the time. I think like if Destiny's Child was to come back together right now and have like a 3-album run or something, she would probably jump up to the list as probably one of the top 5 lead singers in the group of all time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But when you think about this question, the way that we're thinking about it in totality, like the fact that, we go, he went all the way back, before any of us was born, thinking about groups way back when, and start you really, but you have to think about these things because at the end of the day, we have to think, what is a lead singer? A lead singer, yes, you're the alpha of a group, but there's still a group. So are you in a top 5 of best alphas amongst other alphas?
I knew this would have been the one question where I was like, he might side with me on this one and say no. I thought long and hard about one where you would finally say no.
Yeah, no. It's too many. And the thing about it, that's why I say like it's too many great groups, girl groups specifically, that have paved the way and that have. And In Vogue had like a group full of Beyoncés, right? And I also think when you think of groups, I'm gonna tell you, some groups, they have a standout star like Beyonce amongst Titans, but then you have other groups that cohesively work together. TLC is a great group, and Left Eye was a creative genius, but they work better together collectively, and that's okay. Some groups are meant to be groups, right? The Spice Girls work good collectively, and when you think about artistry and you think about music, Diana Ross. She was the boss. She was able to lead. Beyonce was able to lead, and so they were able to carve out, and that's where their greatness came. I think, granted, when I look at like Destiny's Child, we look at numbers, which I ain't brought this up the whole time, Mike. When you look at numbers, they're amongst the top 3 groups.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In terms of performing, but in terms of like that alpha, no, I wouldn't put her there.
And the word you're looking for is something we call in sports synergy. Whenever, like when you get together collectively and everybody brings something, but it amounts to something greater than what all of y'all could have put in a bucket, and it amounts to something great. It's just called synergy. There's chemistry and then there's synergy. Your chemistry, you can be great having chemistry, but when you take a leap over what you should be with all the sums of your parts, we call it synergy. You got good synergy.
That Destiny's Fulfilled album, though, is a good synergy album. But again, you got SWV, you got Coco, you got. I just cannot. I won't lie.
Yeah. But I am glad that you brought up a group like In Vogue, because they don't get talked about enough. Like if you want to talk about arguably one of the most collectively talented groups you'll ever hear, because any of them could have stepped in and been the lead singer on any particular song, and you almost wouldn't know the difference because they all had such powerful voices. Yes, you had some soulful mixes in there, but they all had such a powerful voice. You're just like, but you could just, and their harmonies were just amazing. Like, golly, their harmonies, man, their harmonies just make your heart just cry.
Right. That was a good one, Micah.
That's true.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is what DJs do, I guess.
It happens like that. So to add some comedy to this, because DJ Micah B's headline is the other question that exists from this, is who has a more delusional fan base? And the question, and the responses are very simple. Is it the Beehive? Is it the Swifties? Or is it Dallas Cowboys fans?
The most delusional fan base is none of those. The most delusional are the Barbs.
He cooking. I ain't even gonna lie. He cooking. Hold on, wait. Let him cook. Hold on.
Let me be very clear in that.
Let him cook.
And Nikki is a whole topic, and I'm not even gonna get on that. But that's a whole topic. And I'll say this: see, that's a mic drop, and then you move on to the next thing with love, because we love everybody. With the Beehive specifically, what I'll say is, because Beyonce, who she is, oftentimes when people come and have the conversation with her, people already paint it off as like, oh, she can't do no wrong, and I ain't gonna say nothing about that. That's the conversation that we have. So I made it very intentional in having this conversation that this was not going to be that, right? And I think, again, everybody is entitled to have their own opinion. If you're a Cowboys fan, shout out to Shaq, Shaquille George, or if you love Beyonce, myself, you have that right. But I think also it's a right and a wrong way to have these type of conversations and how you open it up. Now, I'm gonna tell you, the Beehive, we ain't delusional because we got the facts to prove it. Our girl is winning out here, okay? I'm featured in the #1 film in the country, okay, because of her, and several other things have happened because of that. And so, Beehive all day long, we ain't delusional. We just out here winning. Cowboys, I can't speak to that. That ain't my forte or field. And who was the other one? Oh, the Swifties. How do I cover this without? Because I want, I want to be tiptoeing on the line. I want to be respectful with this. I have no problems with Taylor Swift. I think she's talented at what she does. However, I think that Taylor Swift can get away with being a little bit mediocre, and it's still working for her because we live in America, and they love what Taylor Swift brings with a capital K. When you look at a Black artist, it hits a little bit differently because we have to work 10 times harder to be in those spaces. And so I'm not taking anything away from Taylor Swift. I think she's good at what she does. Beautiful gowns. But that's where it ends for me. I appreciate her talent. I appreciate what she brings. But I just know that I can find 1 million Taylor Swifts, okay? And they would probably still perform the same. But we love Taylor Swift, and we love all the Swifties out there. Shout out to you guys. Just giving y'all my 1-2. And that's it.
Yo, that was wild. I'm not going to lie to you.
He cooked and then turned up.
Did cook.
Cast iron hot as hell right now.
No crumbs, as they would say in 2024.
Oh man, Taylor Swift will always be okay, but great.
I'm gonna say this about Taylor Swift. She makes music for white women who like pumpkin spice lattes and hate accountability.
I was expecting Outlaw to say some shit like that.
I was too.
I expect nothing less, but at the same time, where's the lie?
Yeah, like, all of Taylor Swift songs are about
most of her biggest hits. Most of her biggest hits are from typically after a bad relationship, a bad breakup.
It's kid music. She doesn't. So her audience, though, and again goes back to understanding that audience, right? Yeah. Like she has that demographic on lock. That's why when you look at numbers, other art like our artists, the Beyonce's, is for the grown people. Like she having grown conversations. Taylor Swift talking about riding ponies and first breakups and going to Starbucks and the coffee, her getting the wrong coffee. It's a different conversation because it's a different lived experience. And so that's what you get when you get Taylor Swift's music. And it's not taken away from it because that's somebody's experience, right? And that's what makes it more palatable because it's very surface level. The only thing Taylor Swift is spicing up is those visuals. And that's what you're going to get.
But her music will never be deep.
Well,
no. And I think and I also think her country music will always be better than her pop music, but that's just me.
For shit, sure. Her country music was slaps.
Like her country music is really it's the fucking bill, but she's very much big into her pop era right now. Like, and it's cool. But I'm just saying her country music is where it's at. But I like what Lundo said when he went a whole left field approach with the delusional fan base. I thought that shit was beautiful. We'll have that conversation another day, but I just like how that went.
I'll say crazy. Not all Taylor Swift music is like that, but majority is. And I mean, I have one song. My favorite Taylor Swift song is "Blank Space" because it's the only time she's ever talked about anything other than a damn heartbreak for the most part, like literally. And I was just like, I can relate to this. She talking about one night stands and this and that. All right, you finally doing something, girl. And she fooled me because I thought she was moving into that. And then
I'm about to say, first of all, Taylor Swift is not the one night stand type of gal.
The rest of the album went back more to the shake it off type shit. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, what a letdown that was.
To my brother's point, Taylor Swift will plan the wedding on the second date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's why she got
after the first date, she already shopping for rings for herself.
She already planning baby names in the talking phase.
But I will say, because the Swifties broke a cardinal rule, I'm gonna say the Swifties are the most delusional fans because of this reason. Because when the whole Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce thing became a thing, these Swifties out here made it seem like Travis Kelce was a nobody. And I'm like, hold on, my guy. In the sports world, Travis Kelce is him. All right. Travis Kelce was already established and a 2-time Super Bowl champ by the time they got together. He won his 3rd Super Bowl in that relationship with Taylor Swift. Like, let's not pretend like, she pulled some random NFL player, not like Kelsey Plum and Darren Waller. It wasn't no shit like that. Like, he was already an established, legitimate player, and the Swifties made it seem like, oh, she made this guy more relevant or this, that. First of all, no. Leave my NFL alone. Leave my football alone. Stay your Swifting ass over there. Like, don't ever come into the NFL world and say some artist made some NFL player bigger than they were prior to. No, don't ever do that.
But do you think Simone Biles did that for her husband?
No.
No, okay.
He was already a if you watch football, you know him, but like he was never a big name prior to them dating. So a different situation altogether.
A casual fan,
a casual fan like
wouldn't know him.
Yeah, like somebody like me and Moo who do Inside the Huddle, we like, oh yeah, we know who that is because we watch film. Like we watch film on these players, so like we get it. But like the Travis Kelce one is different. You're talking about one of the greatest tight ends of all time, like who's also a legend in his own profession before they got together. And I'm like, hey, don't be disrespectful.
So the most delusional fan, but I love your answer with the bars because I do like Nicki Minaj, which threw me for a loop because I didn't even think about putting Nicki Minaj on here. I wish I thought of that because I'd probably put it instead of the Cowboys. But
that's true
though. I still, you say you're not going to talk about the Cowboys, and that's fine. What I say yesterday, the Cowboys didn't won a Super Bowl since Beyonce. Ever since Beyonce been relevant, they haven't won one. So dang. It's the truth. It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth. They ain't won a Super Bowl not one time since Beyonce been famous. Not one. And the way they talk about themselves, you would think they have. London over here look like he in shock. But I am definitely still, and I'm definitely still going with the Beehive. And it's not, and let me tell you why. It's not because they don't have. It's not because the numbers are there to back it up that she's an all-time great, but for the simple fact you alluded to in the beginning, if anybody thinks otherwise, the Beehive will attack you and cancel you and just calling you wrong just because you don't prefer her music. It's like everybody has to prefer her music. No, that is being top-notch delusional that everybody has to enjoy your music. And I'm not specifically speaking to you. Beyonce got real fans. The Beehive is not her real fans. The Beehive are the people that just jump on shit because it's popular. There are a lot of bandwagoners in the Beehive, and they're gonna ride with her while she's popular. And then whenever she finally takes a backseat and relaxes and stuff, they'll bounce off of that train. And it's like that with a lot of other fan bases too. But that's essentially who I think the Beehive is. That's who I essentially think the Beehive is.
Yeah, let me just speak on behalf. I'm the uncle. I'm definitely not the king. One of my friends is definitely for real the king. Beyonce said that. For real, I'm the uncle of it. So Deron, I might take your shot on that. But
yeah, my little brother probably one of the uncles too. Shit.
Listen, I'm an uncle of it. So I'm gonna say this. Beyonce don't fuck with nobody. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to doing the work and going home, she ain't in these tabloids. She not talking bad about nobody. Beyonce don't sing for nobody when she could, and that's the difference. When we talk about like Nicki is and I don't even want to touch on this too much, but see, I gotta bring it up. Like Monique, I gotta say what I gotta say to get to where I'm going. See, when you're great, and the essence of your greatness is your talent, and you can show up and deliver and go home, that says something to me. When I look at Nicki Minaj, as great as she is, the best female rapper ever to touch the mic and do the damn thing, and you sitting here arguing with newbies and you scared because somebody about to take your space, and you cultivated that chair and you ain't got nothing to worry about, that's the problem. And your fans back that's the problem. See, what the Beehive do that's different is Beyonce don't fuck with nobody. Let me say that from the beginning to the end. She don't hop on no lives. She don't talk about no numbers. The girl do her work and she go home. So what she don't say, she got a group of fans that got her back. You know, you got that one best friend that's a little rowdy than the rest, and if somebody fuck with you, they got your back. They gonna pull the coat. That's what the Beehive do. Because Beyonce ain't fucking with nobody. We're not picking on nobody. And unless she brought up into a situation, that's what we there for it. Now, the Barbs, Nicki gonna pick with you. She gonna punch you. She gonna get your car taken. She gonna get some shit shaking. And she gonna say, but I ain't do that. And then what the fans gonna do? They gonna see her do it. And they still gonna ride with her. That's the difference in the fan bases. Because one thing we do, like I said at the beginning of the show, is I hold Beyonce accountable. For all the great things and great data I can give you on Beyonce, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can say specifically just as an example. Because people are like, well, what can we say? The branding, the Beyonce brand, it's all over the place. Outside of the music and the visuals, and the media portion of it, when I look at hair care, when I look at the fashion, it's all over the place. It's not no Fenty Beauty in terms of in terms of Rihanna having a cohesive brand that works. Beyonce don't got that. And I can tell you that because what we do with our artists is we keep it real. That's the conversation that we have when we start talking about fan bases. And so when people say, well, the Beehive crazy, they can cancel you, they can do all this stuff. Beyonce don't fuck with nobody. I said that at the beginning, I'm gonna say it again.
But Beyonce ain't the Beehive. That's the complete difference.
You talking about,
ain't the
but
Beehive.
my brother, you said the fan base, and I'm telling you, as a member of something, what we do and how we do it. And Beyonce is not the Beehive. She's not the Beehive, but guess what? She ain't messing with nobody. But when you have other people that's messing with her, they come to the defense because the fandom, we go pull out the receipts, and when we start putting out the receipts, then we wrong because she overrated, she don't deserve it, she lackluster, she don't do this, she needs to win, it's always an excuse, but it's like the facts are the facts. Let your artists do what our artists doing consistently and win at the game for as long as ours has. Because when you start talking shit, then it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Let's just talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it. That's the point of view that I'm always going to have with it. When you talk about these fan bases, how are you holding your person accountable? Because we hold ours accountable. Like I said, I'm not the Lulu, and it ain't true. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to be. So I'm just going to say the Barbs. I'm not even touching the Cowboys because I'm a Texan. And Beyonce, that's all.
That's funny. That's a thing in itself. I'm not a Cowboy. I'm a Texan. That's a whole thing in itself. Because now,
oh yeah, I forgot the team. No, not like that. I'm just no. I don't watch sports, so I forgot about that.
All right, hey, Texans fans can't be delusional because they ain't nothing to be delusional about.
Ain't nothing to be delusional.
No, I forgot. Sorry, y'all. I forgot. I don't watch sports. So I was just saying I'm a Texan.
But again, like I said, I don't consider like you or what was the guy's name you just brought up? You said
Deron.
Like
yeah.
People like y'all aren't to me, y'all aren't the Beehive. Y'all are true fans of Beyonce. Like the Beehive is something that literally somebody was like, hey, we're going to take this and run with it. That's exactly what they did. Beyonce has no involvement with the Beehive.
She does.
Why you call him Lando?
She does have involvement, Micah. That ain't right.
Yeah, she has involvement in the name and the branding of it, but as far as the fan base and the people that I'm specifically referring to,
you got extremists, but that's in every fan base. Oh, can I answer this question though?
Yeah, because I want you to answer, but I would want to know why he calling you Lando. Like you a Star Wars character, like you Lando Calrissian or some shit.
Like Lando from Star Wars.
That's what I'm like. Hold on, that man is Lando, not Lando, but whatever.
Get your ass off that iPhone and you wouldn't get auto corrected. If you would have get your ass off the iPhone, you wouldn't get auto corrected to the wrong thing.
My friend was trying to be focused on the question. He asked a very intentional question, and you know what they're gonna get off of you, damn it. That A and that O, they can look the same if you squint your eyes. Damn it. So we're gonna get that to you.
Don't do that.
I think who would I put? So I'm gonna say this. That's a very hard question for me to answer. I think something I didn't talk about in the beginning when we started this was like why I love Beyonce the way that I love Beyonce. And it's not just because it's Beyonce and it's the brand and it's like this perfectionist. I love Beyonce because Beyonce is a student. I love Beyonce because she's somebody that has constantly showed up and shown out and has shown the power of what happens when you dedicate yourself to a craft, right? That's why I love Beyonce, because she shows her ethic, and she also stands for us in a way that no other Black artist at the top of their at any time has ever done, right? Like no Whitney, no Michael, no Prince, no Tina. None of them have ever stood in their Blackness in the way that Beyonce has at the top and at the peak. At one point or another, yeah, they may have, but never at the top, even Janet. And I can name to you, for every single person that I've named, a point where they weren't at the top for that very long. So I would put nobody in terms of like full cohesive brand, in terms of full cohesive career, above Beyonce. However, there would be no Beyonce without a Michael Jackson. There would be no Beyonce without a Tina Turner. There would be no Beyonce without those people. So when you look at it in that realm, Michael Jackson, when I look at like overall, like, oh my God, legacy, something that somebody can aspire to, Michael Jackson is always going to go above Beyonce. He's the best selling artist of all times. He paved the way for there to be a Beyonce. However, his career has scandal with it. Whitney Houston, I think, is the most amazing, the best female singer, because she sung with all of the things. However, it was not consistent, which again, at the beginning of this interview, I said, consistency matters to me. So there are people in their specific realm that I would say go above Beyonce, but as far as that complete package, as far as that whole complete brand and what she's done and what she's brought, there's nobody that I would put above Beyonce, because there is nobody that is above Beyonce. In comparison with awards, in terms of record sales, everything cohesively, nobody tops her in that range. But yes, there are people in their respective categories that I would put above her, if that makes sense. Like with the group question.
Yeah.
Most delusional fan base.
No, it makes sense, because I mean, when you at least when you say Michael Jackson, people understand, because Michael Jackson is not just a North American artist. He is a worldwide artist. There's music that he has made that has touched people all across the globe in a way that culturally, it wasn't just the Black culture. He was touching all the cultures with some of the music that he was dropping. And then if you listen to some of his music, he was telling us stuff, but nobody was listening. Especially in that song, they don't care about us. Y'all wasn't listening when he was speaking, because he was preaching in that song, but nobody was listening. And then if you look at the video, that video was shot in a prison. Am I right?
Yeah.
Just gonna say, if you watch the video and listen to the words, but what was we doing in the culture? We were line dancing to it. I'm just.
He ain't lying.
I mean, but it's a powerful ass song.
Mm-hmm.
But we wasn't listening to it. We was just dancing to it.
Yeah, and it's the time too. I think also when you think about artists, you have to think about the time. That's why it would be insensitive for me as a person to say and not acknowledge, right, the Janet Jacksons, the Tina Turners, the Princes, the Michael Jacksons, something that people don't even know about Beyonce's career. There was another artist that we briefly touched on, but we didn't talk about overall, that has done the same similar thing that Beyonce is doing with these last 3 albums, and that's Prince. Prince had a plethora of music, hundreds of thousands of recordings at his home that switched into different genres. So it's not that she's doing something that hasn't been done before, but she's doing it in a way that hasn't been done before. The platform has already been there. People have done things that have been similar, even with the surprise album. She had you got to realize, surprise album when Beyonce dropped, she had already did a visual album with B-Day. That wasn't new. The difference of it in that it was a surprise, but the visual component had already been repeated from B-Day. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about the presentation of it. But when you look at current culture, there probably will never be somebody that will sell more than Michael Jackson, because we're not in that era anymore. You're not going to get somebody that's going to sell what he sold and did what he did, because, and even they had to work harder. Like, the reality is now everything is so accessible. When Michael Jackson was selling an album, he was on tour. He hated to tour. When Michael Jackson was doing Thriller and all that stuff, that was a major production. That was not just somebody on no computer. They was there screening it and pulling stuff together. So the work ethic to those artists is completely different from here. When Tina Turner lost everything from Proud Mary, and she left Ike, and she came back and she said, you know what, I'm about to do this What's Love Got to Do With It album. She had something to prove. Tina didn't have much. She barely got a record deal at that point, and then she turned that into something. So the struggle then is very different from a struggle that Beyonce. Yeah, Beyonce has had her own struggle, but it's nowhere in comparison to that of Tina Turner and all of that. So it's just very different. But no, I don't put nobody above her in her category.
I feel that, and I hope, because we've been talking about the word controversy all day, I really hope that she stays out of the controversy light. But her husband is tiptoeing in that controversial light right now. But you know, we don't speak on things until things are confirmed. We just, you know, because Nothing's confirmed.
Right.
But there's stuff out there. And both of their names have been brought up in a couple of different instances. But, you know, we'll let as our parents always once said, everything in the dark comes to light eventually. So we'll find out if it's something really in that darkness or if not at all. But I don't know about y'all, but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation because I don't think I've ever seen a podcast where 5 men had a conversation about female artists like this, and it wasn't overly sexualized or anything. It was an actual conversation that wasn't a mansplaining conversation. I think that's the way I'm going to word that.
I feel like this is a very intelligent debate, and Brother Londo, man, you brought some bars and knowledge and facts, man. You goddamn Wikipedia for all kinds of like just everything.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And thank y'all so much for opening up y'all's platform. Like, it's real cool. I have to say, like, as a fan of the podcast, it's really cool to see y'all every week kind of go into this space and to cultivate this and to be a brother of brothers that are intellectual and having the conversation with different personalities and being able to rock y'all's mic and living your truth while you have that mic, because there is power in the platform, right? And so thank y'all so much for opening up this space for me and just having a conversation, not just about Beyonce, but about music and, you know, about industry. And for y'all to be so knowledgeable in what y'all do, how y'all do it, I definitely appreciate it. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Moolage, what's your final words for us, sir?
To answer DJ Michael B's earlier question, I think the most craziest or delusional fan base is the Swifties. As we've seen per the last NFL season, the numbers and everything spiked because the Swifties got into the game, which is absolutely insane. But final words, definitely enjoyed the conversation with the fellas tonight. If you enjoyed the conversation, please go like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys catch PBT tomorrow. We'll be discussing Caitlyn versus the WNBA. Make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be really, really crazy. We got a few guests coming in. Hopefully DJ Michael B slides through. See you guys tomorrow.
All right, Outlaw, what you got for us?
Man, another phenomenal show. We're cooking up a playlist for y'all. We cannot wait to debut it for y'all. Actually, I would love to have Londo a part of the conversation, honestly, if he's free.
Well, look, I'll finish that addressing after when we get to my part, but I see what you did there. I'm with that.
Yeah, exactly. This playlist, I'm just gonna say this: we're gonna make the birth rate spike.
Oh man, Londo, you got any final closeout words for us?
How can I close it out? No, just reach higher, do better, continue to push on. Y'all got this. Remember, you know, you're only as valid as your truth, so live in that.
DJ Michael B, talk to the people.
Okay, I just want to say that last question real quick. It was just something fun because I knew I'd have got under London's skin a little bit. I knew I would have, but I do agree. I do agree with Moo and what London said earlier. This girl keep putting out mediocre music, and y'all just live in this world where Taylor Swift is like a #1 artist, and she's not. Okay, but real final thoughts. I'm probably gonna slide through on PVT tomorrow with Moo and Willie, so y'all make sure and catch that. Of course, Friday, you got Inside the Huddle, best damn football show on the internet, period, with Moo and Mel. Then, of course, I'll be back here on Monday with Basket to Basket, where it's me, Moo, Troy, Boo-Wop, and then right back here next week, Wednesday, for Gentleman's Talk with the gang right here you see on the screen.
Absolutely. So before I introduce my final words, over here with Sherrod, over here talking about make sure to apply the DO with our stank ass and stuff. All right, just make sure you brush between the gap before you open your mouth again. All right. Okay. Anyway, hey, listen, we don't this roasting shit gets real. But to go back on what Outlaw was talking about, we do have a show. We have our next 4 shows lined up, ready to rock and roll. So the playlist in question is actually going to be the top 25 songs to get pregnant to. So the only person on this panel that is not having any more kids, me, because I had a vasectomy. Ain't no more kids, me. So y'all can add to the population. I'm gonna keep the population right where the fuck it's at. So
don't worry about it. I got you.
So with that being said, most importantly, because unfortunately, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way I can say this, June is also Men's Mental Health Month, and it gets overshadowed by another month that we're celebrating. So I want to make sure that we are not just being left out, because I got it. We have to have I believe the word is inclusion is the word we like to use, but we can't overshadow the mental health of men. We just can't. That's why next week's episode, when we have our Father's Day episode, will be a dual episode. It will be a Father's Day episode. It will also be a men's mental health episode, all merged into one episode, because just like we did last year we just did a men's mental health and a fatherhood episode. This go around, we're going to merge them together and make for one great episode. We're going to also follow it up with a Juneteenth show, because Juneteenth is literally on a Wednesday. So it's going to be outlandish. So this actually is going to be one of the more fun shows that you guys will see from us, because what we're going to do is we are going to take our Mount Rushmore of Black fictional characters that inspired us. So that can go all kind of different directions, depending on how you want to spin it. So I'm telling you, these next 4 shows are going to be lit. And then to kind of tap back on the Father's Day episode, we're also going to do our Mount Rushmore of fictional fathers as well. So
wow. That sounds good. I'm going to tune in for that. Okay, now.
So Gentleman's Talk is doing what we do. We cooking, we rolling. Lundo, I appreciate you coming through for the second time now that we've, got to have you on this platform with us, and, continuing to see you do the great things that you're doing out there as well. Do you have any upcoming major projects or anything going on right now? Or you kind of taking a break right now?
No, I'm working, always working. I'm working on a 3-part pilot. It's going to be like a talk show. We'll talk about everything from fashion to real life. Something that I do well is I do life coaching. So teaching people how to, I know that was corny, teaching people how to reach the best and the highest version of themselves. So just a quick tag. If you want to see more about my crazy life, just learn more about me, you can follow me on Instagram at Lundo, LONDOLAW. But that is coming soon. I'm shooting that when I go back to Houston at the end of this month, and then hopefully it'll be released within the next few weeks. But thank you guys again so much for having me. Like, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this brotherhood, and y'all do such a damn phenomenal ass job. Can we give y'all a hand clap, please? Because y'all out here killing it. Fathers doing it, Black men succeeding. We love to see it. So keep it up.
Yeah, and then we talked about this once some shows back. Tomorrow I will be in a meeting tomorrow. I am doing my first official reading. For those who haven't caught up and been keeping up with the show, I am actually being casted in my first film. So we are doing an official screen reading tomorrow of the script. Without getting too much into the entire totality of it, I'll be playing a veteran grizzled cop with a young spark plug of a partner. So right now, and that's currently being titled Hotel Rumble. It was written by a good close friend of mine who, when he wrote the script, said that you were the first person that came to mind. So I wanted to give you a chance to do that. So mind you, I have zero acting ability whatsoever, but hey.
You don't know until you try. You don't know until you try.
Get your ass in there, read them lines, Dr. GQ.
I'm gonna read the fuck out of these lines.
Hey,
I've had the script for over a year now. I've been reading it. I've been immersing myself into it, trying to understand how I want to portray this character. There's a couple of things that will spin off from that, but like I said, when we get closer to that, we'll make it make sense. I can say, I guess this is kind of like spoiler alert, but it has been purchased by Amazon Prime. So it will show up on a platform of sorts to be seen once it's all said and done.
What?
So I told you, Miss GQ is always doing things behind the scenes.
Clearly.
Well, just to give you some encouragement, a wise man once told me, who's also my pastor, you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great.
Hey, look, all the great actors I've seen all started around this time, 30, 34 going in 35.
Mm-hmm.
Might be my time.
That's the season.
But yeah, just want to put that out there. But like I said, y'all subscribe, y'all follow us, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow Lundo over there, man. He always doing. Sure, we can't forget about little people, especially you with that big ass jug head, bro. We ain't never gonna forget. All right, it's not happening. All right, you are never gonna be forgotten. All right, boy, head full of straight helium. Like
he coming for you next week. But y'all, appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, appreciate all the love y'all give us. GQ.
Y'all, we are
motivation in you and inspire the world to do what you can. If you love it, then fuck it.